We're going to write a program for question 4 that required you to input the gross salary. You have to calculate the tax, pension, medical aid, total deductions, net salary. The tax was 25%, the pension was 7.5%, the medical aid was 1,000 Rand. You had to output a payslip with deductions and net salary. Going to the pseudocode that you did, we'll look at the pseudocode for this task. Input G salary for gross salary. Tax is equal to gross salary times 25/100, which is 25%. Pension is assigned gross salary times 7.5 divided by 100. Medical aid is set at 1,000 Rand, and the total deductions is assigned tax plus pension plus medical aid, your 3 deductions. And to calculate your net salary, you have to take your gross salary, subtract your total deductions. And there we have our output. So if we look again, there's our output. We have our processing taking place, and your final part is the output. Moving on to Delphi. I want you to quickly open Delphi. So we're going to start a program from scratch. The first thing in Delphi, we're going to click on File, New, VCL Forms Application. The first thing I want to remind you is to save this program. So to save it, we're going to go to File, Save All, and I'm going to call this program mSalary. Remember to change the folder where you're going to save this. So I'm going to save this in my C drive, and I have a folder called Delphi. I'm going to now create a new folder, and that folder is going to be called Salary. Opening Salary, as you can see, we're going to go back to the file name mSalary_U for units, as we have that, matching that. Save. Then we're going to save the project mSalary_P for project. Alright, we finished save this. All systems go. The first thing I'm going to do right here is put a label in. And after the label, I'm going to introduce or bring in a text box. Sorry, I should say an edit box, EDIT. And what we're going to do in here is we're going to input the gross salary. So I'm going to change the label name. Actually, not the name, the caption for the label will be gross or gross salary. So that's my caption for the label. I don't need to give it a name, as I will not be using it in the programming. In the edit box, I'm going to change the name of the edit box. Scroll down to name, and we're going to use the prefix EDT, and we're going to call it G salary. Next, we're going to bring in a button. And this button is, we are going to call this button BTN for button payslip. And we're going to code behind this button. We need a display area, and I'm going to bring in a component. Some of you may have used this component before, and it's called a rich edit box. So we're going to type in rich edit box, and I'm going to put that in there, and we can make the GUI a little smaller, and due to time we will, as I can say, make it look a little neater later, or pretty, as you would say. And this is what we have. The rich edit box, we're going to give it a prefix, its name, prefix red for rich edit box and display. That's where we're going to display all our information. Okay, we're ready to program. We're going to double click on the button, and judging from the pseudocode, we're going to declare some of the variables we know, VAR. Some of the variables that we had was gross salary, so we call it G salary for short, comma, we needed to work out tax, pension, medical aid, net salary, and we also had something called total deductions. And we're going to call, or the type for all of them will be real, allowing us to work with rands and cents. Control D just to align your code, and we're ready to start getting our code in. The first thing in the pseudocode was we need to input the gross salary. So G salary, we're going to receive the gross salary from the edit box. Now remember, the edit box is a string component, so, and gross salary is real, so we're going to use not into string but float to string. Sorry, string to float. We're going to convert the string. So we're going to type str, control space, and we're looking for string to float. And we can pick that up, and we're getting this information from the edit box, edt G salary. We now have our gross salary in. We're ready to work out our deductions. The first deduction is tax. You can look at the pseudocode. Is assigned your gross salary times 25/100, which is 25%. The next one is pension. And pension, we are using 7.5%, so it's going to be your gross salary, which is called G salary in our program. Can you see I have a spelling error? A quick way to do that is to use control and space, so you can pick up the actual variable name. G salary times 7.5/100, which is 7.5%. The next one is medical aid. Medical aid is a set amount of 1,000 Rand. Note, no spaces between the numbers. Control D if you want, just to make it look neat. So I just want to go back into my code. The first part is my input. I've done my deductions. Now I'm going to work out my total deductions. I have a variable declared as total DED, which is assigned tax plus pension plus medical aid. And now we have our total deductions. To calculate the net salary will be assigned your gross salary subtract your total deductions, which we've done. So we've done all our processing. I have a spelling error. Net salary, once again I missed out the R, and we're going to bring in the R, and we have net salary. The next part in the pseudocode was the output statements. Now to output on I'm going to take you back to the design. Going to the bottom, we have an output box called red display. So to output on a red display, which is our edit box, it's a red display, control space, you're going to pick up the name, and the code is .lines.add, and that is how we output to a rich edit box. Semicolon the end. Inside here we're going to output what we want outputted with that first statement. The first statement, we're going to output the text. Let's put a message. You can say text with a lovely colon, and we're going to concatenate that, join that to the actual value of text. Now please note, text is a real variable, so we need to convert it because the rich edit box can only output string components. So we're going to convert the real, which is float, to string. So I'm going to say float, and we can use control and space, type in the first three letters, control space, float to string, and we're going to use tax. I'm going to quickly run this program to see if I actually get my tax outputted. So if we run that, we have an error. So very quickly, I'm going to go to the first one, string to float, EDT salary. To take in your amount, it should have been EDT gsalary dot text, and that's how we get the input from the edit box. We're going to run that again, and I'm going to take EDT out and then put an amount of 10,000 Rand. And if I click button display, I will get 2,500, and that is 25%. So it seems to be working. I don't like red display, so we can clear that by typing in a simple command called red display dot clear, and that will clear the edit box for us. Now I'm going to show you how to format that. Instead of using float to string, I'm going to use float to string with a formatting. So to pick that up, I'm going to go back, take all this out, and if I said FLO, you'll notice we have a float to string, but we also have a float to string with formatting. And the formatting that I want to use is currency, because we're dealing with money. So we're going to use float to string formatting, and we're going to put our variable called tax, comma, FF, control space, and we have different options, and the one I want you to focus for now is currency. And after currency, we're going to have a field width, how long our string is going to be, 15, and comma 2 for 2 decimal places. Now I want you to look at what happens. When I run this program, remember what happened previously? I'm going to put 10,000 Rand, and you see your text area is cleared, and you see I have 2 decimal places, and I have a Rand sign. That's because I use the formatting currency, comma 15 for your field width, and comma 2 for 2 decimal places. Now all we're going to do is repeat the process for pension, medical aid, and total deductions. So to output it on a text, a rich edit box, we're going to say red display dot lines dot add, and now I'm going to go to the end and put a semicolon. Every line has to have a semicolon, and inside here I'm going to go and type in pension colon, close that, plus we can look above, it's float to string, and we said we're going to use a float to string with formatting. And now instead of tax, we're going to put pension, comma FF currency, comma 15, comma 2. So you'll notice I've got my tax, pension. Now I'm going to output my medical aid, and to save time I'm going to copy. Be very careful if you're doing this. Copy and paste. Make sure you change firstly pension to medical aid, and then float to string, pension becomes medical aid. We're going to go to the next line. Remember I use Control C, I'm going to use Control V for paste. And I've done my tax, pension, medical aid. Now we're going to total deductions. So we can change that to total deductions. And where you got pension, you're going to change your variable name to total deductions. So we've done total deductions. We now go to the next one, which is net salary. Control paste, take out the pension, net salary, your actual names, the headers can be 2 words for net salary, and you can type the whole word for total deductions if you want to. And remember, this is your variable name, so it has to match the variable name called net salary. And if you're lazy, you can just use Control space, it will pick up the variable name for you. Control D, and if I press Control D, it goes on a different line, but I'm going to bring it back to one line so that you can understand. And if I run this program now, let's look at what happens. So if I type in 10,000 Rand, if you got your calculators out, 25% of 10,000 is 2,500, 7.5% will be 750, medical aid is set at 1,000, total deductions is 4,250, and your net salary is 10,000 minus 4,250 Rand, giving you 5,750. It seems to be working like a charm. Okay, thank you. I hope you understood that program.